Scandinavian Bob here, hi. Today we are going to take a look at 3 side effects of porn addiction that will completely blow your mind. And as someone who has been addicted myself, I need to start by saying I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to wake you up because this stuff is real. So let's begin. Number 1, low desire and ED. Yeah, you might have heard this one and wondered if it's real. And I'm here to tell you, not only is it real, but millions of men around the world are struggling with this right now. It is as real as it gets. You see, you need to understand that when dopamine suddenly gets significantly elevated, like it does when you're watching adult sites, then the reptilian part of your brain thinks what you are doing is important for survival. So because of that, at that very moment, it becomes a learning machine. And when you are now sitting there and fapping in front of your laptop, and since your brain is right then a learning machine, it starts to form deep super memories of what you are doing. And here's the deal, because you now are controlling your dopamine with the click of a mouse, clicking from one clip to the next, because you want to see something new every 20 seconds. You know, constant novelty. Click, click, click. Your brain is going to remember that and start pairing your libido with that constant novelty. In essence, your sexuality can become hijacked by pixels on a screen. Porn trains your sexuality. It trains your brain to need that constant novelty with the click of a mouse in order to keep your libido and boners going. Then let me ask you this. When you get in bed with a real life woman, can you then click to a new partner every 20 seconds? No, of course not. So now your brain is confused. And how about this? Have you ever started a lovemaking session only to lose your boner about 20 seconds in? You have? Well, now you know why. It's because your brain is used to that constant novelty, and when it doesn't get those novel babes, you lose your arousal and your boner. And some guys are so conditioned and desensitized by all the adult sites that they can't even get it up for those first 20 seconds. This is called porn-induced ED. And for some it progresses over time so that they even have a hard time getting it up to adult sites. It is like Dr. Carlo Foresta said, quote, "It starts with lower reactions to porn sites. Then there's a general drop in libido. And in the end, it becomes impossible to get an erection." Unquote. Yeah, so this is a real thing that's happening. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, you need to be aware of the fact that it can happen. Because porn is absolutely poison to your libido and for your ability to connect on a deeper level with a loving real-life partner. Number 2, low motivation and drive. Yeah, this is also a side effect of porn addiction. Because today's online porn is so super stimulating to your brain that it can cause a numb reward system. That's what dopamine desensitization is. Your whole dopamine system is now underperforming. Now, many people think of dopamine as the pleasure chemical. And sure, it feels good, but that's only half of the truth, as dopamine is actually more so about the anticipation of reward. And so now you say, okay, but what does that mean? Well, that means that dopamine is responsible for making you go after things. In other words, dopamine is really the motivation and drive chemical. So if you're frequently hammering your dopamine system with super stimulating porn, you are basically robbing yourself of your general motivation and drive in life. Let me ask you this. Do you often procrastinate and have a hard time finding the drive to work on your goals and projects? Well, now you know what could be behind it. The porn. Now, of course, there can be many reasons behind procrastination, but porn addiction is certainly a really big robber of drive for many guys out there. Number 3, depression and emotional numbness. Yeah, so this one is perhaps the nastiest of all the 3 I mentioned today. You'd think guys watching something that triggers pleasure would be happy, right? Wrong. Because of the desensitization I just talked about, porn addiction leads to a general drop in happiness. Because with lower dopamine functioning, now every activity in your day-to-day life will seem less exciting. Think of it like this. You fire up a porn site, and again, the brain gets flooded with instant, cheap dopamine. Well, after the high wears off, the crash kicks in. A deep sense of emptiness. The more you chase pleasure this way, the less joy you feel anywhere else. And now, well, you're not just addicted, you're down and disconnected. But luckily, all the things I've talked about today will reverse when you overcome your addiction. And if you need help with that, you can grab my free 90-day guide by using the link under this video. But speaking of quitting, there's something that happens to about 60% of guys right after quitting called the flat line, which is also a pretty nasty thing. But it is something that you just have to push through if you want to get well. And I have made a detailed video on exactly what the flat line is, why it happens, and what you can do about it. And if you haven't already, I highly recommend you check it out by clicking on the screen right here, because I'm telling you guys, what you are about to discover will absolutely blow your mind. Just click on it right now and you'll see exactly what I mean.